Thunder! 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 What are you looking at, nerd? Huh?
Nerds! Nerds!
Nerds! Get him, Brian.
Welcome to Thunder Nerds. I'm Brian Hinton.
And I'm Frederick Philip von Weiss, and thank you so much for consuming the Thunder Nerds, a conversation with the people, a lot of the people behind the technology that love what they do.
And do tech
good. Chapow! Again, thank you for watching the show. Really appreciate it. Please go to youtube.com/Thunder Nerds to subscribe to the show. And Brian, go ahead and take it away with our sponsor today.
Absolutely. We'd like to thank Auth0 as this season's sponsor. They make it easy for developers to build a custom, secure, and standards-based unified login by providing authentication and authorization as a service. To try it out, go to auth0.com. Auth0 also runs a YouTube and Twitch under username Auth0 with some great developer resources and streams. And last, Avocado Labs. It's an online destination that their developer advocates run, organizing some super great meetup events. Again, check out auth0.com today.
Thank you so much, Brian. And let's go ahead and welcome our guests. We have a lot of guests today, as we said.
One breath, Frederick. One breath.
One breath. Okay, I'll try it. We have, let's see who we actually have. We got Todd, Libby, Shiva, we got Faisal Abid, Super D, Diane, Jared, possibly another Jared. Oh, hey, there's Baskar. We got Vincent. We got so many people today. We got a full house. So, hey, everybody, thank you so much for being a part of the show. Here we go. Who's first?
Everyone volunteered at once. It was so awkward because everyone started talking.
I know. So we're doing this just for context for everybody. We did this last year, having the Conf-amigues, and we basically had a Twitter tweet, what have you, talking about how during the really hard days of COVID, how none of us could, go out, go see our family, and go to conferences. And these are the people that we see at the conferences. These are our good friends, and we're so happy to have them. And I think Shiva started the thread, and then we said, let's do it. And now we're doing year number 2. So Shiva, maybe you could start. Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, that's one of the problem we are seeing, for last years, right? Yes. So last year, I just missed seeing my friends in the conferences. So I just started the tweet hey, I'm missing some of my friends I usually see in conference, and I tagged those people. Then Thunder Nerds jumped in, and we set up this meetup, and we shared what are the things we faced while we are in COVID, and how that new normal life is looking for us and all. So it's good. It's good to see you again after 1 year. And things got changed, I believe. I think most of us are vaccinated, fully vaccinated, right? So hopefully everything will go back to normal and we will be able to see each other again. So yeah, finger crossed. This year, hopefully I will see most of the people, right?
Well, now that we have 2 shots in our arm, how is everybody doing? Is everybody going back out, and do we feel comfortable seeing people or going to events in live human-to-human action? Anybody?
I don't know. I'm going to jump in, and I
Please.
know Stacy will follow because we're sisters. Hello, everybody. I'm Diana Rodriguez. Y'all know me as Katufa. That means popcorn in Venezuelan slang. I am from Venezuela. But anyway, yeah. But I don't know. I'm fully vaccinated, but I'm in a risk group. I am a cancer patient and also type 1 diabetic. And I love seeing people who are fully vaccinated. I can't wait to hug my friends, but I don't feel comfortable being in closed spaces. And I know this is going to bring up a lot of commentary and polemic, but there are people who are not vaccinated and these people actually cause viruses to mutate. So that's my take. I can't wait to see people, but I've been taking care of myself for a whole year. Like I don't want to spoil that. But yeah, this is me.
Yeah, I do want to say too that with all this discussion, we're vaccinated and everything. We all understand it's still going on in the rest of the world, and our hearts go out to everyone who's still experiencing it. Just because we're vaccinated, talking about going out doesn't mean we don't understand that and care about everyone else. So I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, very well said. There's a lot more hard hit locations in the world, and even if we're talking about the United States, even some parts of the United States too. But let me ask everybody this: since we're talking about we're lucky enough in some of our locations to get these shots, especially in the United States being possibly one of the most safest places now for COVID, depending on where you get your news from. How does everybody feel going back to an office environment? There's been a lot of studies and surveys talking about how half of the people really, really want to get back, and another half of the people don't ever want to go back. And then there's people in between that want that flex work. But for me, I'm scared of like the Delta plus variant. So speaking of Loki, we'll get to that. But that variant scares the crap out of me. Anybody have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I can kind of chime in. So, I read this news story. I think it's Hillsborough County or someplace like that, where the entire IT department got sick. So, if I entertained any ideas of going back to any office until then, after that, I was like, heck no. So, the problem is not that, many people are vaccinated. The problem is also that many people are not vaccinated. So, and you cannot tell by looking at someone. So, it's going to take a while for me to go into any kind of closed work environment.
Anybody else on that?
Yeah, I thought I might bring a couple little points in. So I'm also going to preface this by saying I am 28 weeks pregnant. So
Ooh, congratulations.
I am in a different category, I guess, than most people. I got my shot as early as I could, and I guess that's a little different than some other people who were in similar situations. But I was like, I see that you are like 100 times more likely to end up in the hospital. So I think I need to live for my baby to live, so I'm going to go ahead and get that for myself, just as a safety precaution, if nothing else. Personally, I think that the lives of the mothers are more important than the children. But hey, I live in a different society. Not everybody shares that same opinion. It's okay. But when it comes to like going out, my husband is fully vaccinated. We have an 18-month-old kid who, was, got some residual stuff, but that was about it. And we're just not doing anything that's like crazy unreasonable, like going to a local restaurant. But, a lot of places are still doing a pretty good job of not putting tables right next to each other and groups right next to each other. And of course, visiting with family now comfortably. We waited until to even visit with family until especially older family members were all fully vaccinated. And even then, we never congregated more than like 4 or 5 people at a time. Close family only for over a year. And I will tell you that I am fully remote. I have been fully remote for the last 3 years. So I'm not going back to any office. Sorry. But my husband was an office worker prior to this, and now he is like converted. And sometimes like he was just like going, well, if we want to meet, everybody loves coming over to our house because we got all these pinball machines and arcades, and I do a lot of cooking. So they're just like going, yeah, we'll just meet over at Steven's house because they've got the space and all the fun stuff, more so than there was in the office anyway. So they're not even looking at ever going back. And that's actually what I hear from a lot of engineering and engineering circles. Companies are hiring people fully remote. And to that effect, we've seen that the prices that people are able to command for their skill sets, especially in tech, has gone up. So, if that works out for you, stay at home. Like it's not bad. Yeah. I make lunch every day. It's great.
Why spread it? I've seen, at least for me in my location of Florida, there's a lot of companies. Maybe anybody else here that also lives in Florida. There's a lot of companies that are demanding people in the next month to go back full time, not flex work, not part time, but full time. And I'm not talking about just any kind of job. I mean, and I'm seeing this in a lot of different industries, our industry too, where people are saying you have to put butts in seats, where the conversation seemed very different just a few months ago, and is kind of there's some kind of duplicity going on here. I don't know what the messaging is coming from and how it's changing. But what do we say to those people that have to go back, and where offices possibly are not enforcing masks? They're not like saying, hey, show me your vaccination card. What do people do in that case?
Oh, I can say we're hiring at my company and we're fully remote. So if that's what your current job says, that's my opinion on that. But what does everyone else say?
Yeah. Anybody else?
Go fully remote. It's the best, because I've been remote now for obviously all year, but I'm able to do more, but I'm also able to do it in a vastly different frame of time. I don't have to go from like 9 to 5 or 10 to 6. I do some work till like 11, then I'll go out for a walk and I'll come back at like 1. I have my phone with me, so Slack's always running. But aside from that, it's up to me when I should work. And Stacy's right. You can command a higher salary. You can actually get a lot more done. I do find myself doing a lot more being at home versus being in the office. Because at the office, you go to work at 10, and then like 45 minutes later, your friend comes over. It's like, let's go get coffee. And then you go get coffee, and then you go to get a vending machine, and then it's lunchtime. So you go on an hour lunch, right? Because all your friends are going. And so the whole thing just ends up being a waste of time. And then you got to, do the whole commute. And so it's just a colossal waste of time. I much rather just work from home and, go to the office for like a WeWork or something and meet for a meeting. But even that, you have a good webcam, good microphone, you can have a good work from home life. That's my opinion.
What about anybody else? Thank you so much, Faisal. I mean, that makes sense. Like, it seems like there's really not a lot of reasons, depending on your role or at your company, to why you need to be there. If it allows for you to work remote, if you are a developer, a designer, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't know what everybody else's experiences are.
I do want to also point out in the private chat that we're all talking, we're admiring Faisal's background. If you're on the audio, an audio listener right now,
beautiful.
Go watch the video. His background he's amazing. I don't know, like that's awesome.
This is why I like working remotely.
I can understand that.
Yeah, I guess I would just say that I feel your pain. Like, it's not so easy for me to just be like, oh, I'll go find a new job, because we all know how fun it is to look for a new job and how little work that is, especially if you're already working. But yeah, just I will commiserate with you.
Well, does anybody have any jobs where they're asking them to that you have to come back in the office full time, or
I have a special case because I work for Twitch, and one of the things they said to me was that I was a special case because I'm in North Carolina, and that they are more into office work, Twitch and AWS. But given the circumstances, I'm going to continue remote, and I've been working remotely since 2015. So I've seen the benefit of it. I don't think I would go to an office at all. I not only the commute, I just get distracted. I'd probably just
Yeah.
get too social with people and never get anything accomplished. So that's me.
Yeah, to me, I think we are seeing here people, at least in Columbus region, like there is a push towards having uh, at least once in a week to be in an office and staying remote. That's what I'm hearing from friends over here. I have been currently working remotely, but thanks to my company, which is allowing me to do that. But over here, it is a general sentiment that at least once in a week, people are expecting a team to be in office so that the way they can have all those interactions. So that's what I'm seeing in my circle.
Yeah, I wonder if a lot of these companies, maybe smaller companies, are looking at the higher end enterprise. Like if they're looking to see like what, I don't know, like Tim Cook is doing. Like I think I read something like Apple wants to bring everybody back full time in September or something like that. And September isn't that far away, but it's at least it's far enough away for us to see if there's any kind of ramifications of this Delta plus variant going on. I don't know.
Well, now they're talking about Lambda variant. I want to add one thing to remote working. So one of the things I could do because I'm remote working is multiple things, and so out of these multiple things that I do during the day, one of the things I'm part of is a consulting agency that I joined just before COVID, and when COVID hit, we were trying to expand the team, but what I found was it was very hard to hire anyone during COVID, like the first of March, April. And we're a Google Cloud consulting company, so we were getting tons of clients through Google Cloud. And so what I started to do was I started to look outside of North America. One of my thesis is that not to pay people based on location, but pay people based on their value. And so what I started to do was I tapped into this massive, amazing talent pool in Africa, specifically Nigeria, in India, in Bangladesh, where you have kids. I'm saying kids because they're like 21, 22, who are extremely talented, but they're working for like really bullshit wage, which is like $300 a month, which is garbage. And cloud consulting is very lucrative. And so what I started to do was I started to hire these kids based on what you would pay a junior intermediate in Canada. And my entire idea is let's pay them really well. And because of COVID, it's, we're all remote anyway. So we're building this, we're actually forced to learn how to work remotely. And so we've been able to do that for 6-7 months. And now we've gone really good at it. And so since like October, we've started bringing on foreign developers and just integrating it into the team. And one of the cool things about that is the company works 24/7. You're sleeping, you have a developer in Bangladesh working, and he's not having to grind anymore, right? Because a lot of times the North American companies pay them like $200 a month and they grind for it because that's still pretty crappy wage even for them. So he's not having to grind anymore. He's getting paid like $70K. And he's happy, we're happy, we're getting good quality work. And then it also builds the brand of the company where he tells his friends. And so we have this like incoming talent pool of very talented people from Nigeria, Bangladesh, and even India we just hired coming in. So that's what COVID enabled me to do, where it's just look outside of North America, look outside of Europe, and just tap into a whole new talent pool that we haven't been able to before.
It makes a lot of sense because why limit rather yourself to just the people, like as you said, Faisal, it just in your general vicinity, right? If you're just reaching out 20 miles in a diameter and that's who you're going to hire, you miss out on so much talent all around the world. It's just ridiculous. And also, if you're going to key up with a giant office on the fourth floor of some really fancy, nice building, that great, good for you. But I mean, aren't you wasting a lot of money on on that brick and mortar, on those bills to keep that building running, clean, et cetera, when you could be more focused on hiring talent?
For sure. We were spending about $18,000 a month in office space, right? All for what? We were there and we were on Slack anyways, right? And we were doing the same thing we're doing at home. And so the one point I want to add about the remote work revolution, I guess, is with as much as I dislike Elon Musk, but something interesting that Elon Musk and stuff have done through Starlink is bringing access to the rest of the world, this high-speed internet access. If that promise can be lived, in 5 years from now, then you'll have a whole different way of working where you can hire someone from right now, the big restriction I have when I'm hiring in parts of Africa, actually, the person's extremely talented, but the internet is very poor. So if we can't even have a basic video chat, then it gets really hard to collaboratively work. And so when you have internet like Starlink being distributed across the world, I think you'll end up more and more companies will hire people from these regions and be able to just, it'll become actually right now, a lot of North American developers compete with North America. Toronto competes with Toronto developers to get a job. But now we'll be competing globally because you'll have kids who are extremely talented, like 100 times smarter than I am, because they're learning in the wildest conditions. So they just have grit. And I think it'll be very interesting for the job market, I hope, in 5-10 years.
I do sympathize though with all the people that are the exact opposite of I feel like most of the people in the call that need that person to talk to, and
extroverts.
This hardcore extroverts. I mean, I feel like they could probably get it in Zoom calls, but I feel like it's just sipping through a straw when it's a Zoom call.
Well, it's not the same thing. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's not the same thing for them because when an extrovert, they need to recharge in a group of people, not on a call like we're having. This doesn't do it for them. I'm an introvert. That doesn't mean I'm shy. It means I recharge by myself. I love people and I love to be around people, but after a little bit of time, please go away so I can go home and lock myself in a room and watch, a few episodes of Loki. And after that, I will feel so much better.
I mean, also when you're in a real, an in-person meeting, you're not just looking at everybody directly in their face and looking at your own face like I'm looking at my face on a huge screen right now. That never happens.
One thing I would say, the downsides of remote work, I think, will be for the junior engineers who are just joining the field. I am very biased because I'm senior. I've been in the industry in a physical aspect, and I think most of us here are seniors. But when you have a junior developer, I know as a junior developer, I found it very useful just in terms to even deal with my, I guess, imposter syndrome, to read someone's face if I screw up, because I've screwed up so many times early on in my career. But just being able to go and talk to that person physically, you get to read the person's emotions and feel better that you're not going to get fired tomorrow because you messed up this PR. So I think the juniors are going to have it the worst, and I don't know what the solution is if companies go remote.
I think I have a little bit of an idea here, right? What it really does is it puts work and the impetus on your senior, your principal, your higher level people to actually become active advocates for their junior developers. And it means putting time on your calendar, 2-3 times a week to spend time working through stuff and taking the time to actually do work on a PR together, do those kind of learning sessions, have structure to what they're learning and how they're actually, and essentially, you as somebody who's higher up is kind of a professor in a way, right? Whereas before we had this be a very informal relationship, we're adding some additional layers of formality, and then we're starting to connect people. So I think there is a way to solve for this. I think you just have to be willing to be more social and be more guiding and be more willing to be a true teacher to those younger people.
I do think though, I know a few friends of mine have had issues because that's where, as we all get older, we're not like there's no outlet to gain those personal relationships, those friendships, so to speak, other than work. So if you're not going into work and you're like, hey, let's go out to lunch somewhere, you can't because you're in Kentucky or New York or wherever. So I mean,
Fair.
that's definitely, I feel like, a big issue for a lot of people too. I don't know the solution for that beyond like, streaming Zoom cocktail hour or something. But even that seems a little weird. Yeah.
No, I had a friend today just tweet about how they were hallucinating because they felt so isolated. They were walking by a fire hydrant and they heard it hiss or something like that.
That was
Like,
me. That was me this morning.
was that you? Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
thanks, Roderick.
Oh, so I didn't realize
I
that was
tweeted
you.
out. So
It is public.
two of them did it. It was like a weird. It sounded like water was running out, but I looked. There was nothing, and it was like this, like almost like
And
air
again,
coming out of the
Brian is
fire.
making my case. You could go a little bit crazy if you're not seeing people sometimes. Even Brian.
Exactly.
There was another statistic I wanted to ask you guys about, which I read on a few different things. It says, according to a lot of recent studies that were based on the past several months, that 1 in 4 women are considering downsizing their career and leaving the workforce due to COVID, because a lot of times it seems that women been thrusted into the role of the primary caregiver, or sometimes they were the only one to take care of the kid while their partner was working. What do we think of that? Is that something that's gonna hold us back in progress?
I think you've already seen that there was an impact in progress to some of that, right? Like
Yeah.
that was already something that was brought up. And I'll be perfectly honest, we were unable, with my kid, being his age, I went back to work in the end of March, and it was right when everything was like super locked down and we had no childcare. And so I came back from maternity leave with no childcare and trying to reacclimate back into work. And so, it became, and while I was still doing breastfeeding and all that other stuff. So it was extra hard. My husband and I passed off who had mornings, who had afternoons based off of our meeting schedule. We synced our calendars, and because of just the nature of food and things like that, like I made it my thing. Like I make lunch every day. I pretty much always do that now for everybody. But then he also takes care of the kiddo while I'm making dinner and, all that kind of thing. So I think that not everyone has maybe as supportive of a partner, because social norms in the past have been less gracious to women, and there are a lot of undue extra responsibilities that even women can put on other women. Like if something's messy in the house and whatever it is, it always gets like the immediate look to me, never to him. And that's from other people. And that's unreasonable. If we start to really think about the fact that like childcare is, you had 2 people to make a kid. So it seems like 2 people should share the responsibility.
A little bit, right?
I do also want to point out, it's not, I think, a big hit on that. I just looked it up because I remember the statistic a little bit existing. But in October last year, 865,000 women were laid off in the workforce compared to 216,000. So it's also women who are being, disproportionately impacted by, layoffs, which, other than being angry and sad,
What about also the impact of, coming out of the childcare situation, but the balance between work and life. Because for me, it happened. I've always worked remotely, but with the coronavirus and being in lockdown, it became like home was work, was homework, and then I'd probably spend 14 hours in front of a computer, and it wasn't healthy. And then heard of cases of companies that were time tracking in unreasonable ways. And we were having a conversation backstage with Baskar saying that flexible schedules are a thing. And I've always believed that at the end of the day, the end result is what really matters versus you saying you have to put this many structure hours into work. Because some days, and I have no shame on saying this, some days you get 2% of me because I might be exhausted, because maybe I need to take more walks. And some other days I'm at 100% and it's grand and everything flows. And I think this is a new chance to rethink how do we measure success and how do we think of our metrics. Talking about development, is it the end result? What are we measuring as effectiveness? Because I can see how this can be toxic if I mean if it's not already toxic. I think it's a conversation that we should all have right now.
It's totally toxic if you're measuring by how many hours you're putting in. I agree with you. It should be you should just be accountable to your delivery. If you're agreeing on your Jira or Asana that you're going to get this done by Friday, then it doesn't matter if you work at 6 p.m. and the whole day you're sleeping, or you just needed a day off. As long as you can get stuff done on time and be able to communicate that with the stakeholders, your manager or PM, I think that's how it should be done. Especially in a very remote, decentralized environment. I think it's unfair, as always, to ever measure, okay, he coded like 6 hours, great. Someone coding 6 hours is a better developer than someone coding 3 hours. I think that's nonsense.
I've often seen people say things like, don't confuse effort with results. But on the other side of the spectrum, right, where they talk about, you're doing this and don't confuse your efforts for the results you do. But how about the other way around with the company? Don't confuse maybe if I need to take a day off as, not putting in maybe the effort, but just look at my results that I have at the end of the project, as you said.
Ultimately, engineering is knowledge base, and so for knowledge base, you can't be charging by time. You have to charge by value, right? Because it's the value you're bringing. I might know something. I mean, consulting. I've learned this actually in the past year, where someone asked me a question, and if I can answer that question in like 10 minutes, but doesn't mean that I should get paid $10 for it. I should be paid the entire project fee. Because I have experience in knowing that that's the value that I bring. It's not how long I spend on the project, it's how much value I give you. And so knowledge workers should always charge by value and not time.
There's actually a story on that where it's like GE had like a factory, like GE, like the global company that builds refrigerators, turbines, etc. And they had like an issue where it's like, oh, we have a systematic failure with one of our mechanical systems, and they only had one person that knew how to fix it, and that guy was one of the consultants, and he just gets called in and literally spends 5 minutes, draws like one pencil mark on the device, and then walks out, and then sends the bill, and the bill is for 10 grand. And then the company's like, why are we getting billed 10 grand for this? I mean, you literally just came in here for 5 minutes and just drew a pencil mark on the device. And then it's like, we need a itemized line item for everything that you just did. And he just billed like a pencil for $1, and then $9,999 for the experience and years that it took for him to understand that. So again, it's like value-based propositions. Like, if you're able to get something done quicker, you shouldn't be penalized for it. I've worked at companies where it's like everything was hourly, and like I felt like I was punished for being very efficient. It's like, oh look, I did this in 3 hours when normally people take 8 hours. I should get billed less for that. So
It's
Yeah.
like you finish in 3 hours, and then here's 5 more hours of work just because you finished early. You don't get to go home early. You get to here's more work well done to you. That's it. So the other thing I think we should address is the with all the remote work and flexible work schedules. Do you guys feel like the 40-hour work week is pretty much a product of the past era? Like people are going to be kind of during the daytime I'm going to be going to the dentist and doing other things, and then I may catch up at night. So how do other people do that, or is that just me being crazy?
Oh, I do that too. Sometimes, like, if there's like, because like the nice part working remote is you don't have to work like a 9 to 5 schedule. Like we have core hours at work since we're a remote first company, and everyone works in the U.S. and West Coast, all in the states. And as long as you're getting in your meetings and like actually doing your work and getting stuff done and making sure things are operationally efficient, as well as like getting your own tasks done, it doesn't really matter, in the grand scheme of things. Like if you get it done at 8 p.m. or if you get it done at 8 a.m., for instance, as long as it's done. And I think that's all that really matters. And also another bonus of work remote is if you're not like vital or like one of the main presenters at the meeting, you can just get other stuff done at the same time. Like I'll just get my actual work done during the meeting, or do house chores, and still listen to and do everything else that's necessary in the meeting to facilitate what we're actually working on. So it's another side bonus.
I hate multitasking. Like if I don't need to be at the meeting, I would rather just leave. If I have to work on something else while paying attention to the meeting, like I'm not going to do either well. And I think it becomes a problem when that's an expectation, because I do think there are places that expect you to work when you're not actively participating in the meeting. And I think that that's really unhealthy.
Definitely.
To that is if you're not actively participating in the meeting, the chances are you should not be in that meeting, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Can it just be neat?
Well, so when you're sending like an email blast to a group of people and you have like a to field, right? And then you have like a CC field and a PCC. Well, meetings are kind of the same way, where it's like there's a to field, right? And these are like the main participants in the meeting. But you also have audience members, the CCs and BCCs. They don't really contribute as much to the meeting, but they still need to be there to understand the grand scheme of things. And sometimes just be available in case there's a question that comes up and you need a product expert related to that specific topic. You can think of it as like being on call at the meeting, but you're not actually needed most of the time.
Yeah, I think we should definitely try to have more meetings where it's considered normal to like come in when you're needed and then leave when you're not, instead of having to sit through the whole meeting if like you just need to present like 10 minutes out of 2 hours.
Yeah, and back-to-back meetings. I am so tired of back-to-back meetings.
More of those.
Oh my gosh, like 15. If you see there's a meeting, you don't have to schedule the next meeting directly after the previous one. You can have a gap. It's okay.
No bathroom for you.
I actually
Or
prefer,
food.
I actually prefer having all my meetings like all in one day, and then like after that, like no meetings for like several days in a row. That's just me personally, though, or just like having minimal meetings after that. Like I think yesterday I had like 7 hours of meetings. I like most times I don't code that much since I'm doing more lead development and just like delegating tasks to different developers. So it's actually been a while since I've actually written any code.
I really am admiring your cat in the background, by the way.
I was just going to say,
yeah.
who else wants that cat to jump
He's
on
very
his head?
majestic right there. Since I last came on the call, I adopted a cat 6 months ago. His name is Monty. He's super adorable.
Oh, it's a cute cat. Let's talk to him. What do you think? Meow, meow, meow.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's got the floor, but he doesn't want to say anything now.
That's cats, I tell you.
Yep. Because coming to meetings, since we are all remote and everyone gets all this Zoom fatigue and all those stuff. So one good thing our company does is like we do no meeting days. So one day a week is a no meeting day across the company. And we are also fine in understanding that it's not needed for everyone to switch on their camera and keep their mic on right every time. So if they are needed, they will be. We generally have all our meetings no camera, so that way people we are just in listen mode. So I don't want to concentrate that people need to concentrate like what I'm doing or how I'm there, right? And being remote, people regularly, I think most of them will try to check whether a person is online or offline, and you should not, when in remote as engineering managers, we should not give that much concentration on those, like at what point of time you're looking green on your messenger or when you went away. It's not that. So good that I don't have any of those, and lucky to have good managers. But I think most are there are companies where they will be focusing on those, like when a person is on green or when he is away, right? Luckily, Teams, if you have Teams on mobile, I think some few days back or before some time, it used to show online every time, right? Even though if you are at your desk or if it is in your mobile. So that's where I think people used to tweet like, okay, Teams, I'm on my mobile, I'm away from my office. Why are you showing it as green, right? So
I've been in meetings too where people give you like guff for not having your camera on. Where it's like, hey, everybody has their camera on. Come on, turn your camera on. Why do you need to see me? Is it imperative for this conversation? I could share my screen if we need to do that, but I don't need to turn my camera on for us to have a meeting.
I just
and also what about like kids noise in the background, right? Nowadays, like kids is also part of the work life. Example, for my company, everyone know like my kid, and my kid know like who are all my coworkers, right? So she just will come to the call and just wave the hand to them. So it's like more family, and also like they just like allow the kid to be play in the background, right? We shouldn't like stop the liveliness around our home, since we are working from home. It's not like office, it's still our home, right? So we should allow those kind of things in like a meeting, right?
And embrace it.
What I want to know, life's textures, definitely. What I want to know is how do people like get changed to the bat and while still on a Zoom call, or like do all sorts of things that they should not be doing in a Zoom. Like it's really obvious that you're still in the call. Like I'm like I'm like, okay, is the camera off? Okay, let's just turn the camera up to or put something over it. Like how do people not like think about this? It's so funny.
It's human nature, I think.
Oh yeah, I know. It just surprises me that I think they're just not used to that. Yeah.
If you're in meetings for 8 hours a day, you become so used to the meeting that you forget that you're in the meeting.
That's true.
Yeah.
When you create several like steps to prevent like any mishaps from happening, like you have a camera shutter, you turn off your camera, you mute it, you disable your mic, etc. That way you don't accidentally leave your camera on in some embarrassing moment or leave your mic on in some embarrassing moment, which I think I actually turned on my mic one time when I was shopping at the grocery store, but
I love Stacy behind us. That was so cute.
He really likes that bus. I mean, he's all about that bus. But I mean, the more meetings you're in, the better you get at it. And honestly, like the higher up you go, the more meetings you're going to have. Half my day, pretty much every day, is meetings, if not more so. So and working with people. Like if you count that, like just anytime you're going to be on a camera, invest in a quality microphone, get a boom stand, put a decent camera up there. You get a little bit of shaky noise in the background with me right now because of the lighting, but
Stacy, do you have 9 microphones?
I do not have 9 microphones.
9 headphones.
9 headphones, 9 keyboards. Actually, I think I may have forgot one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, 10 keyboards.
10 keyboards.
10 keyboards because I forgot about my my Iris Alps Quiet Click build.
Are they all emoji keyboards?
Are they all what?
Emoji keyboards.
No, they're not emoji keyboards.
That's a great comment.
Although, I mean, how RGB do you need your keyboard to be? This is one of my like ridiculous ones. Not the craziest thing you've seen in your life, other than it's just very. This is not even full. If I put this on full brightness, you would die. It would blind you. This is like half brightness.
Put it all the way up. I'm gonna be blinded.
Yeah, our audio listeners. It's what's the brand too?
There's no brand. These are custom builds. Yeah.
You can highlight where you got the stuff so people who see it. Yeah.
Does it pure brand custom built keyboard with blinding lights
and everything else, right?
As the white GitHub theme on VS Code or the hot dog theme.
I'm like rolling through the RGB things at the moment. I have to look at my.
She got distracted by her keyword.
Yeah, I did.
That is beautiful.
Pretty.
Yeah, so I even everything is like here.
Brian, were you holding one up too?
You can't find it when you're coding in the dark or to keep you away.
Let's see it.
Yeah, mine's just a key. Mine's not nowhere as fancy. It's the Keytron. Like
K2.
K2, yeah.
You and every other
hey,
this is one of my heavy boys.
I backed it. So
nice.
Ooh, I like that.
I like my Keychron. I'm showing it too.
Hold on, let me get you.
Which one do you have?
A little closer.
56, and I have a custom made part. Oh my goodness, for the escape key. It's plain white.
Oh, nice. I like it.
Oh, I love it.
That reminds me, Di, I gotta send you a Women Who Code keycap.
Yes, I tried printing my own keycaps, and I am a mess with resin printers. It's so messy that I haven't done it in like 6 months.
Yeah, so you can see like mine's over there. I've got resin stuff, and you can actually look up. I have like nerd keycaps I've made on Thingiverse and done a bunch of like open source profiles for everything. Because
she's guilty. This woman is guilty of me getting into 3D printing and then getting into keyboards. And I haven't bitten the bait for the headphones.
Yeah, you should.
You'll get there.
I mean,
who else got some stuff for show and tell?
You just know how to make trends, Stacy. You're a trendsetter for nerdy things. The first thing I'm going to do as soon as I can travel is go and check her keyboards. I'm going to check her keyboards with all her headphones and with all her game consoles and the pinball machines. Because I see Stacy's house as like the holy grail, the place where I want to go and play with everything. I'm even going to play with your dishwasher, with everything.
Stacy, show us your hover chair.
Stacy just showed to a split keyboard that she had that for audio listeners. It was teal and white. Looks like
it's an Iris keyboard with a rotary encoder built with Alps switches, not Cherry compatible at all. So they have like their own keycaps. And I also designed and printed the keycaps for the top row, and you can find that completely open source stuff on Thingiverse. So anybody else who needs, because there's like a couple people who have some other ones that they've posted, but they've put all kinds of like rules on it and other things like that. And I'm just like, If you need it, here you go, and here's a bunch of parts, including how to make like space bars and all kinds of other things. So, you know, it's not like I get paid to code and like I have a kid and I cook or any of that kind of stuff, right?
Yep.
But I have stupid collections of things. Like, why do I have so many fountain pens? Why do I have so many fountain pens? I don't understand me. Why do I have this?
Well, what if you need to write and one doesn't have ink? Does anyone else, when one of them doesn't have ink, put it back into it and grab another one? Because I do
you're
that.
a crazy person.
I definitely do that.
Are you one of the people too that cooks and doesn't clean as you're cooking?
Oh, yeah, I tend to not. Yeah, I just do it.
Yeah.
But I do it afterwards. I still do it.
No, you gotta, as you're cooking, you gotta clean as you're doing it so you don't have a giant mess.
Oh, but I like the giant mess. It's like something to look forward to after eating.
Well, if you are a giant mess, thus, I get it.
Stop judging me.
I'm not judging you. I love you, and I love the giant mess that you are, and I embrace that. Hugs and kisses.
Just explained the difference between seniors and leads and principals. It's all about how you clean as you cook. You do a little something, you clean it off. You move through it. Once you're ready to push that thing up, and present that food, the entire, kitchen is clean. Everything's ready to go. That, sir, that's the difference between a senior engineer and a leader or principal.
What was that?
Proud.
Oh, okay.
And the toys, yeah.
Stacey, you made me feel more judged.
I am judging you. Welcome to the internet.
We're getting close to the end of the show. So, does anybody want to talk about what they got going on? Any other subjects or projects they got?
Dude, I apologize, but I have to. This is so exciting. So
Please.
I just released a mobile application that can save lives. It's for diabetic patients. It's called Scout X-mobile on GitHub. I have a sensor, and this goes to a mobile dashboard called Night Scout. And for diabetic patients, they can basically connect their Night Scout dashboards to this application, and with a little bit of help, they can actually forward location and blood sugar levels in case of emergency to their emergency contacts. In this case, if anything happens, I get a phone call because it wakes me up. That works for me. People can disable it. And then if levels are off whack, like really bad, my mom will get a call informing her of my blood sugar levels, but she will also get like a link to maps and can follow me in real time. And this, I know, this has saved my life, and my idea is, to make it available for everybody and see how many lives we can save with this. So I'm really excited to send this. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to go next?
I have an article coming out tomorrow on smashingmagazine.com.
Nice. What is it about?
It is about the importance. It is about the importance of accessibility.
Right up your alley. Very nice, Todd.
Can you read it all out loud right now, Todd? Go.
What's that?
Can you read it all out loud right now?
I just did.
Oh, wow, that's quick. Okay. Yeah. Slow it down,
Thank you
audio
so much,
listeners.
Todd.
Yeah, and you can hear it.
Who's next?
So I'm just working behind the scenes. I know that we are slowly moving towards in-person events, and we are trying to meet next month, August, for our conference. So that's the stuff which I'm working out currently after doing my regular work at C JavaScript and Friends conference. And I'm hoping that things would go smooth. So we need to see.
Thank you, Baskar.
So last month, the beginning of June, I spoke at in person at a conference. So that was really cool. It's a really weird experience, the conference in-person event, people are wearing masks and it's like rooms are like practically empty, it's like half people in person, half people virtual, half the audience is virtual. So yeah, interesting experience. I think that's what we'll probably end up having for the next 6 to 12 months before, yeah, we do need holograms. That's true. That would be awesome. Like a 2-pack hologram would be, something like that would be awesome. But
Oh my God, yes.
yeah, but looking forward to more in-person conferences, as long as, they're well organized and, they keep things clean and stuff.
I've got a talk I'm giving on July 15th to Women Who Code Mobile. You can actually look up the information directly on their Twitter, and it's all about career development. I kind of call the talk Get Happy, Get Known, Get Paid, in that order. And it's really about kind of the real steps that you need to take as an individual to kind of get to your end game, whatever that means to you.
Love it.
We
Let me
got a
see
little
that cat.
Cat.
My cat, Monty, I adopted him 6 months ago.
Meow, meow, meow. I'm doing
Super
stuff in the
adorable.
litter box and meow, meow, meow.
Super adorable. He's actually the first cat I saw at the first shelter I went to. I didn't know what I wanted in a cat, actually. When I first went over there, and this is when I was between jobs. I got laid off from my previous job. And I was like, well, I got a lot of free time. I'll actually go cat searching now, cat soul searching for a bit. And I went to like 5 or 6 different shelters, and I kind of got a feel for different cats. And I'm like, oh God, I have to start a new job like next week. So ended up postponing that, and I found out that my entire team had cats. This was kind of like telling me that I should probably get a cat. And Monty was the first cat I saw at the shelter, and I was like, if he's still there, this is the cat I want to adopt. And sure enough, he was still there 3 weeks later, so I adopted him. And been happy ever since. Yeah. He meows a lot, though. Like, anytime he wants to complain about something, or if he's, like, wanting attention, he just meows at me. Like, sometimes, like, it's, like, even when I'm in a Zoom call, like, a lot of times he'll just meow, like, a lot. But I'm kind of surprised he hasn't done that this time. But, yeah. Other things that are new, I actually just did my first dance performance. I'm on a dance performance team, and I learned how to do, like, Latin-style dancing a couple of months back.
Are you going to dance?
I saw you doing it
on screen?
Yeah, let's see it. I saw you doing this on Facebook, and you're really good. All right, Vincent, go ahead.
Do
it. Jump up. Let's see it.
Here, though.
Oh, don't give us that. This is the time.
Okay,
Stand up
I
and
can
dance.
share a video of me.
No. Stand up and dance.
Okay.
Grab the cat. Stand up, dance. Go.
Okay.
You shut up, Brian. Dance.
What if I'm not wearing pants, though? Because, that's
It's
all
okay. Dance.
That's too much. That's too much. Although I did learn how to play. I did learn how to play guitar, though, and sing at the same time.
Man, you're just digging a hole for yourself. Now he's going to ask you to play guitar.
Yeah, it's all over there. Go get it.
Okay, fine.
Peer pressure, do it.
Fine, okay. I'm actually wearing pants, by the way.
Oh, he lied for audio listeners.
He did lie. See, Brian, if you weren't like that, I could have gotten
They're heart and polka dot boxers.
Vincent's pants might be brighter than Stacy's keyboard.
That's true.
Yeah, my pants are neon. Sorry, because
Vincent.
Oh wait,
Vincent.
I need to get my.
You need to get nothing. You need to play.
Sorry, I know this soundboard is new and I can't help it.
All good, yo.
Okay.
Here we go. Hotel California.
Hotel California. Okay.
Stairway to Heaven.
Stairway to Heaven.
We're all just putting out songs out there. You play what you want, buddy.
Okay, I'm gonna do the Beatles, Let It Be. And every time I do this in front of an audience, it's always awkward. And this chair is terrible to actually do it on.
Good thing you only have to play in front of you, right?
Yeah. Okay, I still suck at this. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be.
Everyone sing along.
And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Oh, let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. Can we do the whole thing?
You know
Nice,
what?
nice.
I can't
Good job.
tell you enough how appropriate that song is and the serendipity of the situation, because words of wisdom, and that's what we have provided here, I believe, through the last hour. And we'll let it be at that, because we are at the end of the show, unless anybody else has any final words before we sign off.
Well, I don't have anything new to pitch, but if you're looking for a podcast about Vue or front-end development, check out Enjoy the Vue.
That's enjoytheview.io.
IO.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Oh, I have a podcast too. It's called Code Chefs. It's a restaurant-themed podcast where me and my best buddy talk about pretty much all types of development, kind of how we got started into front-end development and back-end development, as well as like specific topics on, for instance, like how IoT devices work, or if you're more interested in DevOps, we've got like something for everybody. It's more like for people that are kind of in the mindset of trying to learn new things. So I'll put that in the show notes somewhere.
I got a link. Don't worry about it. I listen to your podcast, Vincent.
Thanks so much.
Cool.
Thank
I
you.
just want to say, everyone, thanks for joining us. It's always great to talk with y'all. It's a joy.
Oh, yeah. And before we jumped out, I just wanted to,
Yeah.
if anybody else had a chance or wanted to say anything at the end here.
I got a podcast too.
Yeah. What you got, Todd?
It's called the Front End Nerdery Podcast. It's also on YouTube, and it's also on your favorite podcast platform device of choice.
Nice. Anybody else?
We're going to be having the Atlanta Code Camp this year on October 9th. So if anyone's looking to speak or sponsor, we'll be having the Atlanta Code Camp. So atlantacodecamp.com.
Thank you very much, Jared. Hey, you know what? Speaking of friends and friends that code, Baskar, do you got anything to promote?
We, apart from our conference, which is JavaScript and Friends, so that's what we do. And we do monthly meetups and annual conference.
Nice. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Eat more lobster.
Eat more lobster. I think that
more
is the
lobster.
perfect words to exit this show with. Remember, everybody, eat more lobster, watch the Thunder Nerds. I want to thank every one of you for joining us. It's been a pleasure, and I hope you all join us again next year when we do this. My deepest of thanks. Thank you so much. Brian, you have anything?
Nope. Thunder Nerds, subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Really appreciate it. We'll see you next time.
Yep. Bye.